We are officially streaming.
Streamtastic.
Who said that? This is OMJames. I don't know who that. I'm just kidding. That's Kevin from Rapscallions.
Hey, everybody. What's up?
We're not officially live yet. I gotta wait until my subscriptions like refresh.
There we go. I see it now.
You see it now? Oh,
yeah.
There it is. I see it now. I just want to be able to keep an eye on it as well. I gotta mute the window.
Yeah, I got it muted as well.
Now, when you're talking, can you notice? I'm gonna make sure there's no like reverb.
Muted as well. I don't hear anything. I don't hear anything.
I just tested.
I don't hear anything.
I just tested.
I don't hear anything. Oh, really? That's awesome. 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 I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Test. I don't hear anything. Test. Oh, really? That's awesome. Take two.
You beat me to. I was gonna say we're live now. No, okay. Kevin beat me to it. Kevin from Rapscallions. We are about to go live on video. We're live on audio right now. Hopefully nobody caught that. Live on video. We're live on audio right now. Hopefully nobody caught it. Was a horrible. We just did a bit ago. Because it was loop thing going on. It was terrible.
What was it saying?
It was something. I was you saying something. You're like something right now, something right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Something, and then it was also me going diddle-la-la-la-la, diddle-la-la-la-la. It was over again. It's gonna drive people insane.
That's awesome.
It's gonna drive people insane.
That'll be your top video. Awesome. Be trending on that'll be on Twitter.
I hope so. It was funny, but it wasn't. When I first plugged it in, it was terrifying because all of a sudden it was the realization that the whole time I was looking for headphones, it was repeating the exact same like 3 lines, repeated on top of itself over and over again. Same like 3 lines.
That's interesting. I wonder why it did that in the first place.
3 lines.
That's interesting. I wonder why it did that in the first place.
Well, it was my speakers is what I could hear you through. So it hit the speakers and get to the microphone.
Oh, got you. Okay, yeah.
Feedback loop. But usually when that happens, it'll die off after a while, and it didn't. So, okay. So we're basically a podcast right now. We have no video. So I'm going to go ahead and put the video live.
Let's do this.
We've already got 5 people watching.
5 people watching.
Good stuff. Here we go. And there we go. We have got video for both of us. How cool looking is that? You thought it was going to be a boring old audio podcast, but no, we've got OMJames and Kevin from Rapscallions live on the video right now. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm doing great, buddy. How are you today?
Not bad. I think that the desk mechanics aren't quite right, but you know, it works. It's believable. You can tell there was effort put into it.
Oh, well, it's fine.
That's what I think too. Okay, so
yeah.
First off, it's Friday. Can we just be happy about the fact that it's the end of the week? You work like a Monday through Friday kind of schedule, right? Like on your day job?
I used to. I don't anymore. I work pretty much every weekend now.
Every weekend? Do you work all? You don't work like 7 days a week though.
Just about.
Really?
I mean, I mean, I'm scheduled to have one day off during the week and every other weekend off, but just lately we're short on people calling in and stuff. So I think I'm on a 9-day stretch right now.
Oy vey. At the same time though, you're making yourself an asset, and you can hope that eventually, like, the higher ups will recognize the fact that you put in the extra time when they really needed you, right?
I wish I could even remotely think that, but I've been doing it for like 6 years and nothing's ever came of it. So I'm just basically the company workhorse.
Oh God, no kidding. Well, hopefully at some point it kind of pays off for you.
Yeah, maybe. If
Maybe.
not, no bigs. It's good overtime.
There you go. Well, if at the end of the day, as long as you get some money out of it and you can take care of your family better and all that, I guess it kind of pays for itself,
Yeah.
metaphorically and financially.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we with this job, it's probably the best job I've ever had. So I mean, we've bought a house. We have cars. We pretty much can buy whatever we want within reason, of course.
That's
we're not
good.
like buying yacht. We're not like buying yachts or anything over here, but we do pretty well. So
Oh, good. Yeah.
thank the job for that.
Well, like, you're living within your means, right? And really, that's kind of the secret to adulting correctly, is being able to live within your means.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people don't understand that, but yeah.
No, it's true. Well, like right now, we don't do credit cards. My wife and I, our whole family, don't do credit cards at all. Not like we're against it, like it's horrible or evil or anything like that. But just we don't have any debt at all. We owe nobody anything. But we also very rarely have any extra money. But at the same time, we get all our bills paid for. We're never really going like, oh my God, how are we going to buy our next meal? In the same way, like, we live within our means. However, whether we're like middle class, upper class, lower class, whatever it might be, that we live comfortably within our means at what we make.
I mean, that's basically what the American dream is.
Yeah, hell yeah.
To crawl your way out of debt, because most people, when they start their lives, they start in debt, and crawl your way out of that. Of course, we bought a house, so we owe money on the house. Of course, we didn't buy our house outright, so we have a mortgage. But
yeah,
that's considered what people consider good debt. So
something, because you're like investing into something. By the way, I just want to say real quick, I got 5 people watching right now. Division 454, Undead to the End. Hello to both you guys. You guys rock. It's good to see you. Ahoy, matey. Oh, actually, I got to tell you, I heard a great pirate joke today. And I bet the Division probably heard the joke before. But, okay, what did the pirate say on his 80th birthday?
Ahoy 80?
That's the end of the joke. Yes, ahoy matey. No, not ahoy matey. No, you're right. You didn't get the right. You were so close to the joke. No. Okay. Oh, I got you beat. I thought you had it because it's so close. No, it's I matey.
Oh, okay.
I thought you said ahoy matey, and I was so ready for the answer in my head. I was thinking I matey. So you said ahoy matey, and I was like, oh, he got it. And I was like, wait, no, he didn't get it. I still got it.
Oh well.
Okay, you know what?
That was a good one.
Let's think about some gaming. How do you feel about talking about some gaming?
Let's do this.
Okay, I'm with you. Oh yeah, well that's the idea. Ideally, we're the gaming crew here. So I want to talk about 2 big things. Or the first thing, actually, I want to talk about the Nintendo Direct. You didn't see the Nintendo Direct, right?
I didn't actually watch it, but on my phone I get, news updates, and I've seen a few things that have happened.
Like, see what the headlines are saying about it. And like, I didn't actually watch the thing live. I actually saw a little bit of Nintendo doing his reaction to the live stream of it for about 5-10 minutes, and it was cool. But ultimately, I didn't follow it because I was working at the time. But I did look up the highlights of it, and there are some pretty exciting things that they announced at the Nintendo Direct. Do you mind if we talk about them?
Let's do it.
Okay. The biggest thing, in my opinion, is they announced Final Fantasy 7, 9, and 10 all coming out for the Switch.
That'll be awesome. I love when Nintendo does anything like port over for the Switch, because I need more content for the Switch. I've only played Mario Odyssey, and I have Zelda Breath of the Wild, but I haven't played it yet. So the more stuff, the more content that can come out for the Switch, the happier I'll be.
I agree with you.
Interested in actually playing it.
But this is also coming from a current Switch owner, which I am not, and you are.
Yeah.
So how far are you into your Switch ownership? Like 2-3 months now? 4 months? Something like that?
Let's see. Yeah, a little over 2 months, because I got it for my birthday in July. So.
2 months. Okay. Okay, 2 months more than I am. Well, how do you feel about a 2-month-long owner of a Switch now? Is that what perceptions changed from right before you bought it to where you are right now?
I mean, honestly, it's pretty much exactly what I had hoped for. It's portable. Um, it's it doesn't take up a lot of space. I just wish that there was a few more functional things on it that PlayStation and Xbox do, and that's like third-party apps.
Like you've been spoiled on it, yeah.
I wish it had Netflix and like a web browser and stuff like that. But other than that, I love it.
Well, if you realize, I think a part of why Nintendo isn't pushing the whole media center kind of concept is that's been what a console has been trying to be for like the last 20 years. You know, ever since the first Xbox and PlayStation, yeah, the first one, it played CDs, but the PlayStation 2 especially with playing DVDs and stuff like that. And playing, like, I don't know if it supported it at the time, but you could even play like some kind of streaming content, or at least from a thumb drive, whatever. Anyway, they were trying to be more than just a gaming console. They wanted to be a media console. Actually, the more I think about it, Nintendo has never really tried to be a media center. There's never been a console from Nintendo where they tried to do that.
Movie magic.
Movie magic?
My green screen just fell.
Oh, I didn't even notice. I wasn't even looking at you. I missed it.
Oh, okay. It's hidden anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Perfect. Hey, you know what? At best, it is invisible. At worst, you might get a glimpse. No, but I just had the realization that Nintendo has never really had a product that was trying to be a media center.
You know what?
Right?
The Wii, you could do it on the Wii, couldn't you? You could stream Netflix and.
Oh, okay. No, that is true. There were a couple of. That's because they had app support. But other than app support, you couldn't play DVDs with a Wii. You know, you couldn't plug in a thumb drive and play some movie off of it. But my Xbox 360, I don't even have an Xbox One because I don't feel like I need it because the Xbox 360 is my media center. And Nintendo doesn't have any kind of product that even remotely is close to that. The closest they got to that, okay, I'll admit, was GBA, those little cartridges that have like 3 episodes of a really, really highly compressed Ninja Turtles. I only know that because I had one.
Well, like I said, that's pretty important to me is the third-party apps for streaming because I do watch a lot of Netflix and like HBO Go and stuff like that. So it helps if I could have like one console per TV that'll do everything that I need it to do.
Well, and that's why I have my 360 because I don't need anything else except for what my 360 does for me. I hear you.
That's true, but like as of right now, like I have my Xbox One in the living room and we stream, Netflix through that. And then I have the Switch in the bedroom on that TV, so I play that like laying in bed or sitting in bed. So I would like to be able to just switch over and watch Netflix if I wanted to.
I see what you're saying.
I mean, it really hasn't been that big of a deal yet. I don't think it'll ever be that big of a deal. It's just something that I would like for it to do.
And so you could see it eventually. Well, I think because it feels like a tablet and it looks like a tablet and it smells like a tablet, but it's not really a tablet.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
But
My daughter thinks it's a tablet.
Oh, yeah, because it does a lot of the things a tablet would do. I guess it looks and smells, but doesn't quite act exactly like a tablet. But so do you find yourself actually using it mobile as much or more or less than you use it on your TV?
I primarily, probably 99% of the time, have used it on my TV. I have taken it places thinking that I was going to use it, but I'm so deathly afraid to actually use it because I don't want to drop it.
No, I hear you. It's like a $300-400 piece of equipment.
Yeah, pretty much. So I'll let my daughter use it. Like I'll charge it up and I'll let her use it like in the car.
But you like have
once we leave the car,
I was gonna say
you don't get to use it anymore.
Even in the car, you're like checking the rearview mirror to make sure she's not being
too
much. Uncareful with it.
I give her the dad talk every time I let her touch it.
Now you know this is important to Daddy, right? Yes. Okay. Now you know.
It's like you don't run with this. You don't take it to the bathroom. You don't.
There's like the 10 commandments of the Switch. Thou shalt not drop this. Thou shalt not lose this. Thou shalt not lend this to anyone. Thou shalt not eat or drink around.
Hey, Ocean Smith, welcome to the stream.
Hey.
New.
Oh, I didn't see that. Hey, Ocean Smith, nice to see you. Welcome. What are we at right now? We're at 4 watching right now, which is awesome. Actually, the last time I did live stream, and I'll admit I've been kind of slacking on the live stream recently, but the last time I did, it was you and was it Pika? Wasn't Pika? Was it?
probably.
I think it was most likely it was Pika. Just a couple of people though, but it was cool. It was like we were interacting, we were chit-chatting, we were playing games. It was cool even though there were so few people. It was a lot of fun doing that. I really enjoyed that. Oh, I got a baby crying. She's starting to kind of cry a little bit. So real quick, let's go back real quick. I just want to get back to the Nintendo. We totally got super off track, which was awesome. Nothing wrong with it at all. But I wanted to point out, I think it's really significant that Final Fantasy 7, 9, and 10. It's funny that 8's not coming out. Like a lot of people think that was one of the best ones ever. It was the big romance novel of the Final Fantasy series. But that these 3 are coming out because it's been quite a while since we've seen Square Enix take such a broad stance on Nintendo. Like they were Nintendo exclusive up until like Final Fantasy VI, one of my favorite games of all time. We were just talking about that game right before we started the stream. But ever since then, really, they've had a big severance, a big separation from Nintendo because at the time, after Final Fantasy VI, they wouldn't embrace the 3D realm. They didn't want to do the whole like PlayStation thing. And there's even, I don't know if you ever saw it, there was a Final Fantasy 7 Nintendo 64 demo they did where there was a little tiny action sequence with some 3D models, but in the end it came down to that Nintendo just wouldn't support the technology that they needed to do it. So anyway, yada yada, long story short, you can watch 1,000 YouTube videos about it, but that it was a real surprise to me to see Final Fantasy finally coming back to Nintendo. It's been a long time since, other than Game Boy Advance and Nintendo DS, those two, the mobile Nintendo market has had a bit of flirtation with Final Fantasy, but the actual mainstay console Final Fantasy releases have been a long time since now. And so there had to be something, in my opinion, in like a fundamental change somewhere in Square Enix or Nintendo or both that made that possible. And I think it's remarkable that Final Fantasy is coming out. That's my big rant. There's the end of my rant about Final Fantasy on Nintendo, but I thought it was remarkable. I did.
I've never been a huge Final Fantasy fan, but to be able to play the older ones, the ones that are, I guess, mainstream people would say are the best Final Fantasies to date, is going to be awesome because I don't own a PlayStation like a PS1 or PS2 or any of that.
I don't either.
Play them otherwise. So to be able to actually play them will be good.
Oh, I totally see your point. And actually, there for a while, I was going through the Final Fantasy series. Now, I want to tell you, I played extensively. I played Final Fantasy 1 and 4 and 6, which were in America Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3. I played those through. I played Final Fantasy 1 probably through 2 or 3 times total, and I partially played it through about 100 times. And then Final Fantasy 2 about twice that much. But Final Fantasy 3 I played through probably fully from beginning to end about 100 times. The music and everything else carries me through that. I love. I forget the name of the guy. I'm gonna totally piss off some people. Omatsu. Anyway, the guy who did the soundtrack was incredible. I love that game, and I played it through so many times. But other than that, I played through the second game as well in the series, which never came out in North America until Dawn of Souls for Game Boy Advance came out. So I played, it was 1 and 2 in one Game Boy Advance cartridge. And at the time, I had a Game Boy Micro. So it was like almost like a keychain. It'd be all, I'm going to play some Final Fantasy. Or like, I even had like the Street Fighter Alpha 3 for it too. So I'd be at the bus stop like this, playing as Ryu, like beating the crap out of Blanca. It was awesome. But so I played through 1 and 2. I played 2 through one time from start to finish, and I really enjoyed it. I could talk about that game. It was really good. But for the most part, it was 1 and 4 and 6 that I played. So I played through 7, maybe halfway through. I never really fully finished the game. At one point, I had a tiny little laptop, and I was playing through Final Fantasy 8 from start to finish on an emulator. And I almost got through it. I don't remember exactly what point I got to, but I probably put a good 10 hours into it. It was a lot of fun. That's how I knew there was kind of the rom-com of Final Fantasies. It was a good game. But that's as far as I ever got. And I actually anticipated for a long time. I was like looking for cheap deals to get a PlayStation, and solely so I could play 8, 9, and 10. No, 10 came out for PS2, or was that PlayStation?
I'm not 100% sure.
See,
I feel like
me either.
I feel like it was PS2.
I think, 7, 8, 9, I think were the ones that came out for the PlayStation. And I almost got one, even though I've been like a diehard Nintendo fan. Like I used to say when I was younger, like I would rather die than buy a Sony, you know? No, so that it is exciting. I'd love to finally give the other games a chance. It's too bad that 8 kind of got missed out, but I think it is remarkable to see Square Enix kind of put its tail between its legs and come back to Nintendo, you know.
Yeah, honestly, they probably just came to them and being like, you know how many of these copies you'll sell?
Yeah.
You know, if you come back to Nintendo for, even with the old ones, because what are they? they're not having to spend any money on it. It's not like they're making. It's probably just going to be online sales mostly.
I would think so. Well, I could imagine if it works like the film industry works, like we have a theater and you want to play movies at your theater. So if you're a company like Nintendo and you want to have a third-party title on your system, then I would imagine they probably do have to pay for the license for it. Either that, or if it was that big of a deal to the company, like actually Square Enix is not rocking it right now, so maybe they came to them too. Yeah, maybe they were like, we will give you this money, or if you put it on here, we guarantee a lot of sales. But I imagine they probably had some kind of really good business deal behind that.
Yeah, probably.
I would think. I don't know. I'd have to research it.
It could be like the Mega Man Legacy. They could just put them all in one game.
Oh man, actually, I would think that'd be impossible. But nowadays, you could probably at least put like the first 10 on one Blu-ray, right?
Oh yeah.
That'd be.
Well, but it would be on whatever the Switch little cartridges are.
Oh yeah, that's right. How funny is that the Nintendo finally jumped headfirst into the whole like optical disc, like CD DVD format, and then after a while they're like, you know what, we gave it a try, and cartridges are still kind of where it's at. There's no load times. You plug and play.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I remember I used to argue with people when N64 first came out, and I was like, I know you like your CDs and you got all your FMVs, you got all your cinematics, but I was like, but I have zero load time. I can play GoldenEye 007, and I never have a single load time.
Yeah, pretty much. I never really thought about that because I guess when I was younger, you don't really think about load times and anything like that. But yeah, there never really was.
No, yeah, it was always like a big argument point for me. Also, when the N64 and the PlayStation first came out, after a while, I think that there was a couple of different generations of original PlayStations, but at the first one that came out did not have built-in hardware-based anti-alias. So unless the game itself would program it in, which would lower the frame rate, so most games didn't do it. An N64 game, which did have anti-alias built into it on the hardware level, that they could just release a game and it'd be automatically anti-alias. That you could immediately side-by-side compare a game, like, say, Star Fox to Virtua Fighter, and you could see, like, even though there was a lot of really good, sharp polygons on the PlayStation, that none of them were anti-alias. It all looked like it was, like, 8-bit as far as the pixels went. But on the N64, even the lowest polygon version of a scene would still be, like, beautiful and smooth and realistic looking, And so I used to argue that, too. Like, the N64 is better than PlayStation. It looks naturally beautiful and blurry.
I mean, that's pretty cool. I never really thought, but I know that your background, you have a lot of like technical background because you used to, make your own games when you were a kid and web design and stuff.
You
like
picked
that.
up on that.
Any of that. Like, so I never paid attention. I was just like, oh, that looks good. That was it.
Yeah. Well, and that's awesome. Like, even as a designer to such an extent that having someone who's not a designer, you represent the vast majority of humanity. You're not representing this. I'm really trying to say this. It doesn't sound like I'm putting you down. I'm not. But like,
no.
you don't represent someone who spends like 80 hours a week to make sure a pixel's in the right spot. You represent the people, the 99% that say that pixel's not quite in the right spot. Like, you just look at it immediately, go, oh, that's not right. Like you have knockoff Frosted Flakes, and you go, I know this isn't Frosted Flakes. Like, you represent the reason why designers even exist and have a job is to have people that have a critical eye like you do. There you go. There's my positive twist.
I think I do have a critical eye, but it just
You
doesn't
do.
bug me.
Which is another way of saying you have good taste, Kevin. You do.
There you go. I do have good taste. I have good taste in beer.
Yeah, you got a flat tire. That's nice. That's a good one. I'm drinking apple juice because this is a family-friendly channel.
Oh, yeah. Out of your big frosty mug?
It's a stein of Miller apple juice.
Oh, okay.
Well, you know what? Actually, let's see. I want to cover a couple of more things, at least one more thing real quick. We got to tie it up after not too long. It's not going to be a really long stream. But I got to say, so far, if you look at it visually, the way the audio is set up, I'm having a great conversation just hanging out with you, Kevin. Incidentally, audience at home, Kevin and I just talked for the first time yesterday, face-to-face. We've talked on Twitter and Discord, and we've done video stuff where we go, hey, welcome to NES Journey. we've had moments like that, but we haven't actually talked face-to-face till yesterday, and it was awesome. Kevin's a really good guy.
I appreciate that. I feel the same way towards you. It's been what did we say it was? It's been about 8 months. In
About
our
that, yeah.
friendship, so to speak,
Oh,
and
we were
knowing
about
each
8.5.
other.
Yeah, like about the time it takes to be conceived and created into this world. That's how long that Kevin and OMJames have been buddies. Okay, let's tell you what.
Right.
We're gonna wrap it up here in a second, but let me ask you the big question. I wrote down 3 things that we could fall back on if we were like, if tonight I was gonna have spaghetti for dinner, you know, like what I didn't want to have a moment like that. And so instead, I had a few points I wanted to bring up. The big one that I thought would be a good conversation point, real quick, a good way to end the episode here is. If you were handed $100,000, but the stipulation is you had to only use it to improve your channel, how would you spend that money?
Ooh.
I thought it was a good
100
one.
grand.
No, I was almost going to do $1 million. I was like, no, 100 grand is actually kind of easy to wrap your head around. Like, what would you do?
Wow,
But you could only
100
you can't put your kids
I
through
think-
college.
Okay, so yeah, so if I had 100 grand, I would definitely take some time away from actually working.
Yeah,
Um,
actually, that's brilliant. That's like the #1 thing you'd want to do.
yeah, so take some time away from working so you could focus most of your energy or free time, you know, on your channel.
Yeah.
Of course, you want to upgrade your equipment. You want to,
Best camera, best mic, best green screen. That's given.
yeah, you know, stuff like that.
But even that
And-
total would be like maybe $1 grand, maybe, you know.
I mean, I don't know.
Okay, camera could be a digital SLR, you know, like $15,000 Sony, Kodak, this and that, Minolta, yada yada. I get it, but
Yeah, so and then yeah, then I'd probably go to school and take some classes on like filmography and
oh, I didn't even think about school.
you know, like digital editing, how to edit videos, you know, stuff like that. That way, you know, I could learn the stuff that you've learned over your lifetime by doing it. I've never had that opportunity, so I would go to school and have someone, you know, teach me
For sure.
the ins and outs.
You're a clever guy, Kevin. That's a really good answer. If you even spent like half of that on schooling, you could be like fully certified and be a lot better than I am. That's brilliant. No. So I didn't even have an answer for the question. I just came up with the question and went, oh, that's a good question. I didn't think, oh, I have a good answer.
Okay, so you got a question, so I
Yes,
have a question for
please
you.
do. Please do. Yes, I want to hear it.
Okay, so if money was not an obstacle,
Mm-hmm.
what game would you buy for your collection and why?
That's brilliant. Let me think. I got it.
Pikachu guy, what's up?
Oh, Pikachu. Hey, good to see you, Pika. Really, really good to see you, buddy. You're like with 2 of your best bros online here right now. I'm glad you made it. I think he's from, I want to say Texas. So he's like kind of near your time zone. You know that. Yeah, it's not too late, but getting there. Oh, it's the weekend though. What does it matter? What's late when it's the weekend, right?
Yeah, party.
Okay, so I have a game, and the main reason why money wouldn't have to be an object is because this game is now worth a lot of money. It's very, very rare. But I did once have this game in my possession. So first, let me tell you the story of how I got the game in my possession, and then I'll tell you why I love the game so much. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I just went blurry for a second. There we go. We're clear now. There was a video rental store in my town that was closing, and they'd been around for like 10, 15 years, and so they had a huge inventory. And when I went in there and found out they were closing, I was bummed out at first. But then they said, yeah, we're selling off our entire stock of video games for $5 a piece. And what they put out on the shelf was a duplicate of what they had back in the inventory, which came complete with box and the instruction booklet, like the entire game, box instruction booklet, like it was bought from the store. It was opened, but otherwise it was still like you just picked it up off the shelf. And even at the time, this is probably 2001, 2002, so Reddit even wasn't even a big deal. I don't think Reddit, I think it came out in like 2004, 2005. So like I couldn't just go online and go, guys, I have access to it. And there was a ton of classic NES, SNES, Sega, all those kind of games. And there's a couple of PlayStation games. I think that was even, anyway, really early on, before even like Xbox 360 and all that. And but I was on a message board at the time that was talking about video games. And so I mentioned it. I said, I got a video, or not a video, I have a video rental place. I keep wanting to say video game, but video rental place in town that's going out of business, and they're selling games really cheap for $5 a pop. And I had one guy who said, finally responded to it and said, hey, if they have this one game, which I'll say what it is in a second, then I will give you a U-Force, straight up. Do you know what a U-Force is?
No.
No. Ah, Kevin, a U-Force. It is an officially licensed Nintendo accessory for the NES, and it was the briefcase. You'd open it up, and you had like 2 sensors, I think 4 sensors on the top, 4 sensors on the bottom, and you could do your hands like this, and it would sense how your hands were, and it would press. It was basically a key rearrange or whatever you call that for, like, this meant A, this meant B, this meant select. But the big commercial for it, I wish I could bring up a browser right now. Like, there was a whole commercial. Do you remember that game where there was like a ball bouncing and you had to do the fist, and there was like Punch Out, and the guy was all "Caca"? You don't remember those commercials?
No, I have no clue.
You're disappointing me, making me sad while I smile. No, it's okay. It's okay. But I'm gonna send you a link after we get done with this stream right here. But anyway,
Okay.
It was a cool accessory. It was really rare. I would say even at the time, it was probably worth like $100. So this guy's like, if you can find this game called Little Samson, with the box and the see, now you know. I didn't even know the game at the time. He's all, if you can find that game with the box and the instruction booklet, I will straight up trade you a U-Force for that. And like I was like, U-Force? That'd be awesome. I would actually use that, you know? And so I traded it straight up. I went over there and I asked them. They said, well, we got a bunch of games. Like, what are you looking for? You want like another Mario, like Duck Hunt crossover? I said, no. Do you guys have a game called Little Samson? And I think I also got Double Dragon and I want to say Deja Vu. That was the other game I got for the NES. And they had all 3 of them with the box and the cartridge, or the instruction book at the whole thing. I know. This was like 2001, and I don't have any of them anymore. But I got them, and it was $15, and that's what I brought with me to get whatever cool games I wanted to get. And one of the ones I wanted to get, Rampage, I think it was, but I sacrificed it in order to get the Little Samson for this guy online who wanted it. So I got Little Samson, and I was like, yeah, it's all right here. And I didn't tell him, but I did plug it in, and I played it for probably like a day and a half, and it was a lot of fun. That's what I'm going to get into after I tell my little story here. But it was a blast to play it. But I put it back in, and I sealed it up, and I put it back in like a Ziploc or something. And it had the box and everything with it. And we did a direct thing. He sent me his P.O. box. I got a U-Force. I had it for about 7 years, that U-Force. And eventually I ended up losing it in a storage unit that I couldn't pay for. Wah, wah, wah. But in the end, I have nothing to show for it. But there was a U-Force straight up trade for the Little Samson. And then years later, I find out now, Little Samson's worth like $1,500.
Yeah.
If I would have saved it since then, and that's like just cartridge. If I had everything,
I have to look this up now. Hold on.
Yeah, I'd like to know. Little Samson is a fantastic game. It's got the whole like Castlevania, I think it was 3 style, where you could jump between characters and everybody had their own abilities. And the game was a blast. It was a lot of fun, and it's incredibly rare.
Let's see. Little Samson. This is just like a listing. It's not sold for this, but $3,000 for a complete in box.
Oh my God! See, if I would have known, I would have probably found some kind of convention in the Olympic Northwest where one of the original creators or like the graphic guy or whatever was there to have him sign it. It'd be worth like $10,000. Oh, if only. If only. Hey, real quick. Actually, we're okay. We're not about ready to go just yet. Do you have a similar story? Do you have something that you used to own that nowadays you wish you would have held on to it?
I mean, I've had some really good games, nothing like Little Samson, that I wish I would have saved the box and all that for. You know, I've had, you know, most of the Zeldas, Super Punch Out, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Secret of Mana. If I would have saved Secret of Mana like complete in box, you know, that's a really good game. And if money wasn't an option, I would actually buy a sealed copy of Secret of Mana. That would be my answer.
And see, I've played Secret of Mana, but I haven't played it a hell of a lot. So, like, you would call yourself a Secret of Mana fan. Have you played it through enough times that you love that game?
Yes, the music's awesome. The graphics were top notch for the time. Just every little detail about that game is great. And if I could have one sealed game in my collection, it would be that. I mean, it helps that it is really expensive, but
It is also a fun game.
it is a very fun game.
And I played it a bit. I did the whole like stick spinning thing where you draw things towards you. I played it a little bit. I didn't get really deep into it. I think I played through like the tutorial and a couple hours past that maybe. I played like
You're actually thinking of Illusions of Gaia.
that's what we were talking about, right?
No, Secret of Mana.
I know. Now I have to remember what Secret of Mana was. All those JRPGs of the 90s, man, they all kind of meshed together. Secret of Evermore, Secret of Mana, all that.
Oh, yeah. Secret of Evermore is pretty good, too.
That was good with the dog. I remember that game, too. But
yeah.
But really, though, there was... Isn't that crazy that the huge surgence of RPG fans in North America, like, they were so afraid. They released that Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. Do you remember that? It was like...
Yeah, I have that complete in box in my collection.
And you played it.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're a JRPG fan, it is kind of a joke.
Oh, yeah, it definitely is.
And they only released that because they wanted to prepare North America for a JRPG. And yet, there for the 90s, the late 90s especially, like, all my nerdy buddies were into Final Fantasy 3 and 2, and they played it all through, and they quoted it, and they were all about it. And Secret of Mana and Secret of Evermore and Illusion of Gaia, and, I mean, just there's so many JRPG. Earthbound, of course, you know, like, so many of these games that were huge then. But even now, there is still an RPG fandom in North America, you know, but like the whole Call of Duty Battlefield thing is sort of taken over. You know, it's not as big as it was in the 90s, you know. It's kind of disappointing, but, you know, we're just being nostalgic.
That's what this is. Okay, so another question if we have time.
Of course. We're tied up here in just a second. We're going about 34 minutes. Not bad, but let's go ahead and tie it up.
Okay, so this was my other question.
Yeah.
So with the advancement in what do you call it? Oh, my mind just went completely blank.
You're talking about cotton candy infused with the Ninja Turtles. I was just waiting for your brilliant answer to that. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my goodness, why can't I think right now? I guess it's because I drank 2 beers. I don't really know.
It could very well be. Good question.
Okay. So with the advancement of I lost the word again. Oh
no, you were that close.
Emulation.
Yes.
Okay. So with the advancement in emulation in the last, like, you know, probably decade or so, used to, you know, emulating what was just completely horrible. It didn't feel like the real game or anything like that. And I feel like in the last, like, you know, so many years that it's advanced so much that people prefer to play that over originals.
Yeah.
So anyway, so my question is it worth having an actual physical retro library anymore with that advancement in that? I know you do it mostly. You don't have most of your retro games physical.
Well, okay. Twofold. One, I would say as far as having an actual physical collection, that there's Bradagio. You know, there's like, you can brag about it. You have like Machismo. You have your, like, this is a physical representation. And if you had a huge collection that you bought for even like $25,000 that looked really impressive, but you hadn't played a single game, then yeah, it'd be all bullshit. But if you, I think I can say BS. I'm gonna say BS from now on. But yeah, it would suck. But the fact that you have a collection of games you have played is really remarkable. Now, on the flip side, I have an enormous library of games that I've played, and I've owned a bunch of them in physical form here and there. But yeah, once emulation came around, it was more efficient, and I could play these games that I used to play, or games that I always wanted to play, and I finally have a chance to dig into them like I never could when I didn't have the money for them back when I was poor, you know, as a child and everything. But there's a collection involved, but instead of being an actual physical collection, there's a sort of a memorial. There's like an intellectual collection there of games that I've played, games I always wanted to play, games I finally had time to devote to actually get good at it, to where there is a lot of benefit to having a physical collection. But I would say the only benefits you get, not only benefits, the main benefits you get from that are indeed physical. Like you get to be able to brag about it. You get to say, not only is it that I've played these games, but I can show you physical proof right now that these games exist and I played them and they're part of who I am. And for me, and actually, ironically, the only time I can really ever showcase my collection is when I'm bragging. Like somebody goes, "Oh, dude, I can play Super Mario Brothers 3," and I'm like, "Bro, I can play Super Mario Brothers 3. Let me show you real quick. You know, like I can only really showcase, that I have a collection of games in my soul because I can play those games. You know, like it's actually a really good kind of food for thought. You know, like something to put it to that. Having the comparison between having a physical collection and having a non-physical. But that said, when I saw your collection while we were just setting up our cameras last night, I'm a bit green with envy. It's an awesome collection.
I really didn't start collecting until probably like a few months before I started my channel. So it's really, to me, it's really sad from what I used to actually have. But I have a lot of shelf fillers, so there's a lot of like $5 games in there that you probably didn't notice just because it was just...
No, it was at a glance. But I bet you still play those games though, right?
On occasion, it gets kind of hard to play some of the really older ones, like the NES games. Sometimes it's really hard to boot that bad boy up. It just doesn't want to cooperate.
Yeah. No, and I get that, and it's because you're working with a physical medium, and with like an emulator, I could play Little Samson right now, $0, no carbon footprint. I can play it right now, you know. But with a physical copy, if you did have that physical copy, not only is it worth a lot monetarily, but you actually can play it whenever you want to. Even if you don't have a computer running, you can still sit down and play that game right now. But that's still bound by the fact that it's a physical medium, that if it wears down, the battery goes out, if it gets too dusty, or if you get a scrape on a couple of those transistors, then you can never play that game again.
Yeah, that's the big downfall. Me and my channel mate Brett were talking about it, and I actually helped him a couple days ago. He boxed up his entire retro collection and put it in the closet. He was just like, I never play them. They're just sitting on a shelf. I want, it's just like a waste of space. So he actually was this close to selling his entire collection.
What stopped him? What put it in the closet?
Basically, I basically told him, I'm like, dude, you're going to get ripped off, man. You got so many good games.
It's an investment.
And he doesn't have shelf fillers. He has legitimate good games in his collection. And I was like, you're going to try to sell it to someone and they're going to rip you off and you're going to feel bad about it 2 weeks from now, whenever you sell it.
Like seller's remorse.
Yeah, I mean, you'll get a little bit of money, but you're going to feel bad about it. You're going to be like, man, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, like it comes down to value. Like you're selling and you're getting money, but at what cost?
Exactly. So he kind of took my word and he put it in the closet, for another day, so to speak. When maybe he has more room, he can set it back out. He's actually a really good friend of mine. He actually gave me. He was just like, you'll cherish it more than I will. He gave me a complete in-box copy of Zelda for NES.
Oh man, he seems like a good guy. I've only seen him passing on the channel, but yeah, he seems like a good guy.
No, he's one of the best.
That's awesome. Right on. It's good to have a partner like that.
Definitely.
Okay, so we're at 40-13. We're gonna cut it off in just a minute. I'm sure you've got things you got to do too. No?
Meh.
You're like, we could talk for another 4 hours. Well, okay.
I probably could.
Well, what I would love to do, and I love this whole thing of doing the face-to-face thing, and I'm trying to do the whole looking at you while we're talking too, but ultimately what would be really cool is to do something similar to this, but to have a screen in the middle. So we're sharing like browsers, we can look up videos together, or we can do like if we have some kind of computer set up. You're on a computer right now, right? Because you're doing your stream on Discord, yeah. Then you could do like I was going to say Nesticle, but that's not really the era anymore. But you could use some kind of NES emulator where you could do net play. We could play together like we're playing right now. I can have a controller. Do you have any kind of like USB controller situation yet?
No, but I could definitely get one if we wanted to do something like that.
I got 2 for $10 from Deal Extreme. I think it was like 2 for $6. It was so cheap. Like it's not that expensive, and it's worth it. Like that's what I play on every week now. And I bought a few. I'll admit. That was after like 2 tries of buying a decent USB joystick from Deal Extreme. But finally, the third one was one that stuck. So I would recommend it if you can get one. And not so you play emulated games, because one of the really cool draws of your channel is the fact that you play actual like NES games on an NES. But just for like net play, it could be kind of fun.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I would be all for it. Yeah, we could do it.
I'd love.
Because I know we talked about doing like Brutal Doom.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So yeah, definitely.
I love Doom. You know I do.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking though, even doing like NES, the Rescue Rangers, like start to finish. Are you good at that game?
I've never played it.
It's so much fun. It is so much fun, and it's great. Also multiplayer. It's like so many other games where you can play it through, like Contra, where you could play it through yourself. But when you have somebody else playing with you, as long as they're decent, then it's a much more enjoyable experience.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. Would I have to download the game? Like, how would that work? Because I have no clue about that.
We will not discuss how you will get such ROMs, but you will get such ROMs.
Oh, okay. So I have to have the ROM myself too.
You do, yeah.
To play. Okay.
Unfortunately, I know. Everybody who's yelling at us right now, I know. But it's worth it because it's entertaining. And it's the only way that two people that are thousands of miles apart could possibly play a Nintendo system together. I don't think there's any other option, really.
That's actually really cool. It reminds me of my favorite show, The Big Bang Theory.
Oh, yeah?
Where there's this scene where they're like, Penny's in the doorway and they're like, oh no, wait, look what we're doing. And they turn down the radio. And she's like, yeah, you turn down the radio. It's like, we turn down the radio through the internet around the world or something like that. So.
That's funny. I've watched a bit of Big Bang Theory. Okay, that's funny, though. So your favorite show, you would say, if somebody asked you, your favorite show is Big Bang Theory.
Yes.
Dang. I could pick top 3 favorite shows. I don't know if I could pick one favorite show. So can you pick 2 more, and then in response, I will have my top 3?
Okay, yeah, definitely. Let's see. So I guess that would be my favorite comedy. So
okay,
that one, Game of Thrones, definitely. And what's the other one?
Some real classic. Friends. Okay.
Friends.
Okay, I can see that. Okay, for me, it would be Trailer Park Boys, The Office, and DuckTales. And a very close 4th place is King of the Hill.
Oh, wow. That was really quick. That was like rapid fire.
Because I have shows that I watch over and over and over again. And those are my shows that I watch over and over again.
I've probably seen Big Bang Theory like 8 times.
Ah, see, that's me in The Office and Trailer Park Boys. Those 2 are my binge watch shows. DuckTales I pick, and actually, really, King of the Hill is on the same level as DuckTales. I watch those shows every single chance I get. But as far as shows that I binge watch constantly, like if I need something to watch and I have nothing to watch, and especially if somebody's not IT crowd, I'm dead to the end. Piki says, I've never seen Big Bang, but I heard it's on its last season.
Yeah, season 12 will be the last season.
Dang. Actually, I saw something about them in headlines, too. No, but Trailer Park Boys and The Office, for me, are shows that I could watch any episode, or if I want to start from episode 1 and just spend a good month of my life slowly getting through a show, then those are my 2 shows to go to.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I fall back. I also like The Walking Dead, but it's kind of trailed off in the later seasons.
I've only seen the first episode. It was pretty good.
It's definitely worth watching, but it has its like, it's got its extremes. It'll be really good, and then it'll be like meh, and then it'll be really good, and then eh. So I don't really like shows like that. I like shows that are just constantly like either they're constantly mediocre and good enough to watch, or they're great.
But
like,
they're consistent.
When they,
yeah. I know what you mean. Not Heroes.
Oh man, I love that.
The first season was some of the best TV that's ever existed. It was so good when it came out. But then after the first season, every other step they took was horrible.
I would give you the first season is like Oscar worthy.
Yeah, good stuff.
Season 2 was
Villains is the name of season 2.
It wasn't horrible.
No.
And then season 3, I don't.
You'll wonder why
I'm still watching.
After season 3, it disappeared, and they did the Heroes Reborn, and I saw a bit of that. I think I saw the first 1 or 2 episodes of that, but in the end, Heroes just stopped being like something Kring. I want to say it was like Steve Bill Kring, whatever the name of the guy was who created the show. Like the first season, he really knew what he was doing. The show was amazing. Nothing. It was almost like watching The Matrix for the first time. Like it was like I'd never seen anything quite like what I'm seeing right now. You know.
It was great.
And then right away, somehow, I think he probably, Tim Kring, that was his name. I think he left the show or something as a showrunner, and so it turned into a whole different show. But yeah, that first season, Save the Cheerleaders, Save the World. Oh my gosh, stuff was so good. And then what was his name? Hiro Nakamura. That was his name. And the subway scene when he freezes time and he's from the future and he speaks perfect English. Oh my God, that was such good stuff. Yeah, I loved that. When you didn't know what Siler looked like yet, when they hadn't picked Zachary Quinto as Siler yet, man, all that. It was good stuff, man. Like, I miss TV like that, you know?
Yeah, it's hard to come by.
It is. Probably because it's so damn good.
Yeah. Well.
Okay, we're going almost 50 minutes. It's not bad. It's basically a podcast. You know, we're chilling and chit-chatting. It was good stuff. We had good conversation. But we're probably going to cut it off here in just a minute. I got a couple things I got to do. I'm sure you got stuff you got to do. It's 7:52 my time, and I have not yet made dinner. And I also need to shave. You can't tell on my not quite HD camera, but I've got to also take care of that. I got stuff I got to do. But Kevin, seriously, man, it was such a good time just hanging out with you, man. It really was.
It's definitely, you know, we need to do this kind of like on a, I don't want to say a consistent basis, but maybe, you know, once a month, once every couple months.
Once in a while. I don't mind making a habit out of it.
Yeah, definitely. It's fun.
Well, and
different topics
I want to
talk about.
Exactly. We have a lot of stuff we can talk about. We have a lot in common. But I want to mention it with the audience, though, that even before we first did any kind of stream at all, we were just talking to each other. We were talking for like a good 10 minutes. And there was a moment where I was like, why aren't we already broadcasting this? Like, we just have good conversations. We say things that I think people would be interested in, you know. So, good stuff. I'm really glad that you were here for this. We're going to wrap it up. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We're at 4 people right now. Will there be more? This is great. Yes, Pika, of course there will. Streamy X, hi Kalzan. I'm a phonetic kid, you know. Hooked on phonics work for me. Undead to the End, man, I'm going to say UTTE, Undead to the End. I appreciate your contribution as well. Everybody who was here to join for this. We got some people over across the pond who usually, there's times where I'll get like 3 views until like 11 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, like really middle of the night for North America. And all of a sudden I get another 10, 15 views. So I know there's some people across the pond that see it. So it's all you guys out there. If you got this far into the video, I appreciate it. If you like what you saw, if you dug listening to me and Kevin, which I don't know if you know this, he's one of the coolest guys on the planet, that if you enjoyed having good conversation with us and hanging out with us, then we welcome you to encourage us to do the same again.
Hit that like button, y'all.
You know, I've been thinking about pushing the whole like and subscribe thing. Like it's like you're kind of posing by doing it, but at the same time, there is statistical evidence that if you just say, by the way, while you're here, why don't you go ahead and like and subscribe and hit that little bell icon while you're there? Like, if you say that, there's like a 35% increase in subscriptions or something like that. So it couldn't hurt.
Oh, yeah. I got to do your outro whenever we do decide to completely end it. I got to do that, Pikachu.
Okay, you're right. Okay, so I will stop myself right before the make word, okay? So I will start the outro, and then right before I say make, you want to take it from there?
Heck yeah.
Okay, here we go. Thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate that. You know, it was a great video. Great stuff here with Kevin. Really appreciate that again that you watched that. And as always, OMJamers,
make somebody smile today, guys. Yeah.
Ow! That was awesome. Awesome. All credit that way, all over to Kevin. Rapscallion, subscribe to his channel as well. I'll try to link it below if I remember. And a pleasure, guys. Good to see you. Oh, I'm still streaming. Oh, I know. No, I'm not streaming. I'm not streaming. It's just you and me talking. I was like, wait.
It still says live.
Oh, does it? It should be done, but now it said there's